So I promised I wouldn't play a lot of this because it's really, really hard to watch, but I want to do a comparison. This is the speech, right? Let's kind of set the stage. We have Pete Hegseth, who was in the National Guard, right? He was in the National Guard off and on. I think kind of that weekend warrior. I think he did, a couple of tours as a guardsman, achieved the rank of major. But let the comparison of who this person is in charge of all these people. Hi. So a National Guard major typically commands maybe a few hundred soldiers, kind of a battalion level, where a 4-star general is the highest peacetime military rank, commands hundreds of thousands, basically entire service branches, right? National Guard he works under senior officers and generals. 4-star general sits at the top of the chain of command, just below the Secretary of Defense and the President. The National Guard's major focused on training and readiness and unit operations. The general is responsible for national strategy, global operations, and joint military decisions. It's a 30 to 40-year career. Mm-hmm. So that's the stage. And then we have a president who never served at all. Who, in fact, we know what he called them, right?
Losers.
So I don't know. It seems like they're in over their head just a bit here. I wanted to play the very beginning of this and show you something that was kind of interesting, and people have been pointing it out.
You don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to these guys up a little bit.
It wasn't him laughing.
I want to thank Secretary Hegseth.
So interesting. How many of you remember the movie Patton?
Mm-hmm. I watched it.
Yes.
That big old flag behind him. I mean, what the hell? Does he actually think he's Patton?
Which one?
Trump.
Oh.
Or Hegseth. Either one of them. I mean, Patton was a controversial figure. We know that. But he was, a hell of a general, World War II, right? Patton was a film from 1970s, won lots of Oscars. But I just, the big flag, to me, this is a stage, it's performance, it's, all those things that we've already experienced in this reality TV show administration. It's another performance. But that's not the scary part. The scary part is what he's doing. And I thought a couple of these were really interesting takes from career veterans, career military. So let's listen to this one first.
This is Lieutenant Colonel retired Malcolm S. Ritchie. I come to you as a retired member of the U.S. Army Reserve, 3 combat tours in Iraq, 32 years of service, not as a candidate today. Next week, the Department of War, Pete Hegseth, a failed major in the Army National Guard, now the Secretary of War, calling all combatant commanders to Quantico, Virginia. Why is he doing this? To prepare for World War III with Russia? To prepare for a strike on Venezuela, not authorized by the United States Congress? Is this for moving into Gaza? Or is this a combination of all, plus a loyalty test and maybe even a loyalty oath to the president, which is not included in the officer's oath? We swear our oath to the United States Constitution, and I will never, ever swear my allegiance to any one person, not even the President of the United States. Our oath of office is to serve the Constitution, which this regime has violated every which way you go. We are going to politically resist this regime and everything that the president, the secretary of war, and the vice president is trying to push across, that everyone that does not support this regime is to be considered terrorists. And as we watch unfolding on the streets of America, ICE agents and people that are posing to be ICE agents assaulting immigrants and American citizens alike without any provocation, slamming American citizens to the ground, pummeling innocent women, terrifying innocent children, all in the name of what? Fascism. So don't tell us that we are the terrorists. The terrorists are you, the Trump administration.
Yeah. There are quite a few of these out there. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Quite
They
a
threw this one man down, and the ambulance had to come get him. The ice threw him down, and it messed up his back and stuff. And so that's what's going on around the country too. Is they're injuring people when they assault them. They don't care what they do. And if you go to reach for that mask to take it off their face, they really ready to fight.
Absolutely, Andre. Absolutely. I have another Navy commander that I want us to hear from, but we heard some of the quotes, right, from Trump. Feel nice and loose. We're all on the same team. You can applaud. If you don't like what I'm saying, leave the room. There goes your rank. They kind of chuckled at that. But Trump also reportedly threatened that he would fire generals on the spot if he didn't like them. And of course, Hegseth, some of his quotes: foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading and we lost our way. We became the woke department. If the words I'm speaking today are making your heads sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon. The era of unprofessional appearance is over. No more beardos. So she
I
should talk, right?
So in summary of all of that, they call these people here for one, to tell them how much weight they need to lose, for two, to also let them know you got to kiss the ring, and three, to promote Hegseth's book that he wrote. Really?
Yeah,
We
exactly.
wasted almost, what's the dollar amount? I know it's not 2.1 million. Isn't it higher? How much
Probably is.
was it?
I don't know the exact amount.
To
think
bring each one of them around the world to come to Quantico to hear a speech like this, we should be ashamed of ourselves. And we're paying for it. I want my
Yeah.
money back.
Mhm.
I
And
love
basically to tell women that they shouldn't be in the armed forces, to tell Black people or any minority that they were just promoted because they were they needed a quota. It was so disrespectful.
Mhm.
I mean, he's nothing compared to them. The amount of experience that they have, the amount of sacrifice, it's just,
Yeah.
it scares me. The amount of essays that happen in the military, the people who are LGBTQ, they're all unsafe now, I feel. And how does that wasn't inspiring. You're supposed to inspire people who are in the armed forces. You're not supposed to degrade them.
And Donald Trump's fake assassination attack, they shot him in the ear. He put a big Kotex on his ear.
Yeah.
And then when he took it off, there was no scar, no bleed, no nothing. I guess his period was over.
And I saved these last two quotes because this is where it gets scary, right? we've brought back the principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. And they don't mean defending the homeland from abroad. They mean defending the homeland from our own citizens, from within.
He would practice on U.S. I couldn't believe that when he said, I said, what?
Yeah, Pritzker had a lot to say about that. Our job, he says, our job is not to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia while America is under invasion from within. What?
He's trying to turn them against the American people.
Yeah. So this is a Navy commander who had, I'm not going to play the entire clip. It's fairly long. I'll put the link in there, but I just want to hear a few words.
No nonsense, constitutional leader that you joined the military to be.
What?
Hello, Bobby Jones here for Midas Touch and Valor Media Networks, and also as president of Veterans for Responsible Leadership. The speech that was given by now Secretary of War Pete Hegseth at Quantico today was the most despicable thing that I have seen in my entire time being associated with the military. I'm one that believes in the structure that the United States have with civilian leadership being atop of the military. And going back to George Washington turning over his sword after finishing the Revolutionary War and returning to Mount Vernon before being elected president, it's a tradition that we have had for now over 230 years. What was said today by Pete Hegseth was not even really a speech. It was a failed pep rally. And in my entire time of being associated with the military, I have never seen such blatantly disregarding statements to actual active service members by leadership in my life. So let's go through a few of these things, and I'll show you why I have issues with what he said, while I will continue to stay on him in particular, because he should know better.
Well, should he? I don't know. I just wanted to show that these are the people out there who are pushing against. We have a lot of military who are saying, and I thought this was interesting. A longtime Pentagon reporter, Holling Cooper, says that she cannot find one military official at the speech who liked what they heard.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Thoughts? Is there hope? Are we in serious trouble?
Well, the military will never show you their hand.
That's
They
right.
can sit there and they can listen to a speech, but they will never show you their hand. We're not supposed to. You're supposed to be on that wall. You stand on that wall. You're for the Constitution. You're not for a single man or a group or a team. You pledge an oath to the Constitution of these United States. And I think people need to remember that. The National Guard, I'm very disappointed in them because they know better. They know what they stood on that wall for. But it's either their job or not. But you can say no. If everybody is saying no, trust me, they can't fire everyone. They'll try, but they cannot.
Exactly. I had one more.
Senior military officials flown in from around the globe heard Hegseth and Trump lay out their policies and plans for the military for nearly 2 hours. What were maybe intended to be applause lines landed flat.
To our enemies, F-A-F-O. If necessary, our troops can translate that for you.
The defense secretary announced several policy reforms, including a review of military harassment policy. A series of memos published after the speech raised the criteria required to launch investigations into misconduct. In his previous job as a Fox News host, Hegseth used his platform to rail against the military for prosecuting service members accused of war crimes. Now he says the rules of engagement are stupid.
We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters, to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement.
I'm not quite sure what Mr. Hegseth means by getting rid of the stupid rules of engagement. I don't know.
Don King is a military attorney in San Diego. The retired Navy captain has served as staff attorney for admirals and as a military judge. He says as secretary, Hegseth has the final say on those rules. President Trump told the brass to be ready to deploy to American cities. King says those orders put military leaders in a difficult position because according to federal law, the military can't be used for domestic law enforcement.
Our troops are trained very well to follow orders that are lawful. And the difficulty here is that the tradition with the military is that we don't fight Americans. We don't take up arms against Americans.
How the military responds if deployed into U.S. cities depends on Trump's legal justification. He says troops have the right to refuse unlawful orders, but domestic deployments could create chaos.
The risk of great chaos all the way through the ranks, I think, is very great. So it concerns me, and it should concern every American.
Trump says undocumented people living in the U.S. are enemies and that the country is under invasion from within. He says once the military is involved in fighting them, things won't get out of control. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
What was concerning me when I was hearing the speech, because they keep saying we're at war, the enemy from within. He's already said basically anybody who talks against him or speaks facts is against him. I want to hold him accountable is against him. So he's talking about us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We have to hope the military will honor their oath to the Constitution.
I believe they will. They're lucky they have security around them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just shake my head. I just think,
You get
the Constitution. Why can't we have this man understand he's breaking the Constitution? Trump.
I don't know why we haven't
what? Yeah.
why we haven't inserted the 25th Amendment.
Great segue, Andrea. I couldn't have asked you to do that better. That was perfect. Let's listen to this.
Governor J.B. Pritzker tonight is calling for President Trump to be removed, asking for the 25th Amendment to be invoked. It is in response to President Trump telling military leaders earlier today that, quote, dangerous cities like Chicago should be used as a training ground for the military. Our political reporter, Marianne Ahern, with the story.
I've never walked into a room so silent before.
President Trump today meeting with military leaders with a bold reference to Chicago.
We should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid.
Sending troops into cities, thinking that that's some sort of proving ground for war, or that indeed there's some sort of internal war going on in the United States, is just, frankly, inane. And I'm concerned for his health.
Governor Pritzker going even further, suggesting using the 25th Amendment to remove Trump from power.
There is something genuinely wrong with this man, and the 25th Amendment ought to be invoked.